So right now, this is part of the Scottish series of videos. And here we're just testing the Scottish Proverbs book. I believe this book is from the 1800s. Let's just see if I can find it. 1876.
Wait, can you turn around?
It's the new edition from 1876. Okay, so we're going to test this book using XRF technology, which is a scientific testing methodology used by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And again, this is part of the Scottish videos where we're testing things both with XRF testing and then following up with consumer goods testing using a reactive agent home test kit, which aren't generally designed for consumer goods testing. So when testing the gold, it tested positive for 5,308 lead. Now, the interesting thing about this is it also tested positive for arsenic at 751 parts per million. Avi, would you like to chime in about why it tested positive for arsenic?
Because it's green?
Because it's green and it's from the 1800s. So,
which is the same as, was that the wallpaper, famously?
Yes, the wallpaper. So if you had this book and you tried a reactive home test kit on it, and it tested positive or negative for lead, that wouldn't be the whole picture because it still tests positive for a really high level of arsenic. So that's another reason why the home test kits are not good for testing consumer goods. They're good for testing for lead and paint if that's the only thing you're looking for. But things that might have other toxicants in them like mercury, cadmium, arsenic, or antimony, you're really selling yourself short by trying to test them just for lead. So please look things up on leadsafemama.com. Now in a moment, we're going to test this with reactive agent home test kit and see what kind of result we get to see if it does test positive for lead using the home test kit method. This is one of our Scotland videos. Here's a Scottish proverb book from the 1800s. We know it tested positive for both lead and arsenic. The arsenic is likely because of the green. We're using now the reactive agent home test kit dipped in vinegar. Since the part that tested positive for lead was the gold paint, we're going to test that right here. I'm trying to do it on a very small spot. And the lead level here, do you remember what it was, Avi? It was above 700 parts per million. Or maybe, no, it was 700 parts per million arsenic, 5,000 parts per million lead. Anyway, these videos will be spliced together so you'll see. Now, I wouldn't say this is a positive result. I'd say this is a confusing result.
Never seen that before.
Yeah, it's like turning kind of blackish. And that's probably just because we're cleaning the dirt off the book after 200 years or whatever.
But does the test kit specifically say to clean dirt off stuff first?
No.
So yeah, that's a reasonable thing that might happen.
So number one, the test kits are not designed for testing for lead in consumer goods. Number two, this is a lead test, and we've seen some dark purple come up, so it's possible that that's a dark purple, but it really looks black to me. We would try another one. We've got one more here. Now that we've cleaned the the dust off. We know this gold paint is about 5,000 parts per million lead. So,
and it wasn't at all gold, was it? When you tested it with the XRF?
I didn't make a note of that. We can go back to that if we need to. Anyway, so this may or may not be a reaction to the lead, and I don't think it's a good reaction in terms of someone might be confused by that. So this is lead here, and even if you said, okay, well, I'm going to pretend I understand this, even though it's not on the scale of yellow to purple, and I'm going to say I think this is a lead reaction, you aren't going to know that this is really high in arsenic. So home test kits are really not designed for testing consumer goods. They're designed for testing for lead in paint, house paint, not consumer goods, especially for items like this where there's not only lead, but there's arsenic. You may or may not find out if it's a positive for lead, and then you'll be confused because you might think it's safe if you thought it tested negative, when in fact it's not safe because it has high levels of arsenic, and I will be washing my hands after touching this item. Thanks for being here. Learn more at leadsafemama.com. Hi all. So this is the final section of a part of videos we're doing. We're testing with the home test kits. from Skydis, which are designed for testing for lead and paint. We're testing with the XRF instrument to determine whether or not something actually has lead. And then we're testing with the glowing test kit. So here we have the glowing test kit. This tested positive for lead here using XRF technology, the gold part of this book. And we're doing this in the dark so that we can get a better reaction. And then when you spray the glowing test kit on and let it sit for a minute, especially on something like this, and then if it
oh wow.
if it turns green, it's lead.
And the fact that you can see the green on top of the already green of the book.
Yeah.
It's already a green book. Yeah.
That's terrifying. I mean, this is a lovely Scottish proverb book, but the lead is both in the gold and in the trim.
And is that, in a sense, the real proverb?
The real proverb that the Scottish books are full of lead. All right, so that's the end of this book. We're gonna see other videos like this where we're testing in all types of ways. XRF technology, reactive agent kit with the swabs, and reactive agent kit with the glowing test. Again, the glowing test, I haven't used enough to make a determination. I have concerns that it may or may not work on certain substrates. So we're going to be finding that out today. Look up the Scotland videos for more information.
And so with something like that, is there even like, do you not want to throw it out just in the normal means because of danger of, you know?
I recommend for books like this to put them behind glass or donate them to a museum because as a book from 1876, it has cultural significance. Yeah. And I think it's a valuable piece of history. And then if you really want to read it to your children, for example, I recommend photographing it or scanning it. So you have a copy of it you can read, and then sealing it in plastic behind glass or whatever, again, donating it to a museum so it's not where it might harm a child, because this is a small book and would be very intriguing to a child to pick up and read. And then the other thing is a kid might be eating an apple while they're reading a book, and then you have hand-to-mouth transference of toxicants. Thanks.